Today I want to talk to you about preserving your health when it comes to interacting with firearms, ammunition, and any associated satellite products like cleaners and things like that. I'm pretty sure that at this point in time, the year of our Lord 2026, that it is common knowledge that heavy metal exposure is bad. And for the sake of our discussion today, that means lead. So I'm pretty sure that most of you know that lead is bad, but if you didn't, lead exposure at any level is bad. And every single time you fire your weapon, in most cases, you have some level of lead exposure. And there are certain things that you can do to mitigate that exposure, like using jacketed bullets, but most ammunition doesn't completely coat the lead core of most bullets in copper. Copper can also be a problem, but not nearly as high on the discussion list as lead, and also some of the associated organic combustion products from like the primer and obviously the propellant inside the ammunition as well. Plus anything that you use to clean the thing. Obviously you wouldn't go drink your CLP, right? Like, it's probably just not a good idea. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my best practices to mitigate that exposure. Everything from products that I use to process type stuff that you can integrate into your routine on a regular basis. Because I don't think that any of you are like eating bullets or anything like that. The acute exposure is not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is persistent species that accumulate over time. So if we can eliminate something in that chain, then all the better. Because again, persistent, that means that you're almost certainly, if you shoot on a regular basis, tracking this stuff all over the world with you, and you might be bringing it home. It's not just your exposure that we're worried about here, it's your cohabitants as well. Since we're talking about limiting exposure today, today's video is brought to you by Right to Bear. I don't know if you know this or not, but it's illegal to shoot people. We talk a lot on this channel about self-defense, but chances are, if you're involved in a self-defense shooting, you are going to jail, even if you did everything right. Right to Bear is a membership service that helps mitigate your exposure by providing criminal and civil defense support should the worst case scenario happen and you are forced to defend yourself. I had an opportunity to meet up with these folks and break bread with them at SHOT Show this past year, and I think they are doing excellent work protecting not just individuals and families, but also houses of worship, which seem increasingly persecuted these days. So if you have a minute, go over and check out the services that Right to Bear has on offer and let them know that I sent you. In the intro, I mentioned acute exposure, and like I said, I don't think you guys are chowing down on bullets or anything, but there are a few big ones that you might be missing, and I'm just going to name them because this all sort of starts at the range, and then it can move from the range, and that's where you get your cumulative exposure. So, big ones you might be missing. Eating and drinking on the range. Generally speaking, don't eat on the range. Eating is one of those things that unless you have a medical condition like diabetes or something like that, then generally speaking, you can forego eating for a couple hours, but if you have to absolutely eat, then eat it from the wrapper. Put your hand in the wrapper, like a protein bar, for instance, only hold it from the wrapper, eat it like that. Also compartmentalization of your consumption. What you want to avoid is your hand that is contaminated, touching the food and then putting the food in your mouth and then ingesting the lead. Right? That would be bad. You can also do, like I said, compartmentalization, like at SHOT Show, for instance, they have these tents where you can go eat on the range, and those entrances are adverse, 180 degrees from the direction of the range. So like if we're shooting this way, then the range is here, and then the tent and the entrance to the tent is all the way over here, right? So the wind can't blow off the range in through the entrance type thing. I hope that makes sense. Drinking, same sort of thing, but drinking is a little bit more necessary, I suppose. So when it comes to drinking on the range, generally I don't drink out of something like this with a top that cannot be resealed. Think like Nalgene container or something like that. But if you have to absolutely drink out of something like this, then you, again, remove yourself from the activity. You go off site a little bit, doesn't have to be super far, just not right where all the action is going on. Drink the drink, throw it away, return to the activity. I hope that makes sense. But one of the other major ones is handling things that are contaminated on the range. Think targets. Shoot a bunch of steel targets. What happens to them? Big lead dust clouds. When you go to handle those targets, you should have a dedicated set of gloves. And let me explain. That sounds ridiculous, but let me explain. You go handle the targets with your gloves. If you don't have a dedicated set of gloves, those gloves are now super contaminated. You go do all the other activities, you've now got super contaminated gloves. Say you pick up your rifle or your pistol, and you've now picked it up with super contaminated gloves, and then you hand it to somebody who doesn't have gloves, or you take that weapon home and you clean it up and you put it on the shelf or whatever, and your neighbor comes over and you're finger banging it, talking about your new gun or whatever, and now you've spread that contamination around. So now that contamination goes from the single point of, hey, put on a different fucking pair of gloves, to everybody's got it. And I think now you understand why I started with the acute exposure, because it all starts with a contamination event, whether that's general background, just shooting the firearm, or if it's doing something dumb like not wearing a separate set of gloves when you're handling steel targets and stuff like that. And then those contamination events move to other things. So now I'm going to talk about something like this. This is a lead cleaning wipe. These are from Otis. There are other ones out there that do it, but the ingredient that you're looking for is tetrasodium EDTA. There are other substances out there that folks will use to clean lead. One of those is vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. Do not do that. Do not do that. And the reason you do not want to do that is what those solvents will do is create an organometallic compound. So you're converting lead, which is metal, into organic lead. And if you look up, there's several different compounds, but the one that we're talking about there would be lead acetate. It is several times more toxic than regular lead. It is also capable of permeating your skin, versus lead on your skin is not great, but it's, generally speaking, your skin will keep the lead from going through it. So your skin is not permeable to lead. Your skin is permeable to lead acetate. You have to actually ingest the lead, which means you have to touch the thing and touch your eye or pick your nose or something like that. You see what I'm saying, right? So do not use those other compounds that create lead, organic lead compounds. That's very, very bad. What this does is it creates a complex with the lead that allows it to become soluble and wash it away. Not only do I wipe first my face and then my hands down with something like this, but I'll then take that wipe and I'll do things like, how are you going to leave? What are you going to touch on your vehicle? For instance, I drive a truck. So I go to load my stuff. I go to load it into the tailgate. Now, when it comes to cleaning the vehicle, you can use whatever you want to clean the vehicle, but I think that I've already got one of these things out. So I go over after cleaning my face and hands and pick one of the control surfaces on my vehicle, whether it's the tailgate. You don't want to do all of them all at once, because then you're just kind of like moving it around, but like do your face, your hands, and then go do some other surface that might need cleaned with any residual wetness that's left around. So the tailgate, where you touch the tailgate to close it, the door handle of your vehicle that you use to get in, the surface that you use to close the door once you get into the vehicle, your steering wheel, your gear shift. You see what I'm saying? And then what I would also suggest, and one of the things that I do, because I do this a lot, is I also go to the doorknob of the house, my keys, the vault door, things like that. And just think about the process of moving your stuff from your vehicle to the range, from the range to the vehicle, from the vehicle into your house, and from there into wherever it's being stored, right? All the surfaces that you touch are probably at some level contaminated. So taking one of these every once in a while and just going through that process of all those surfaces and cleaning them down. For instance, I'll tell you right now, this comes right out of the camera. And one of the first things I do when I come into the office here is this gets ejected from the camera. and it comes to live right here. So every once in a while, probably once a month, I grab these and I clean them down, because I guarantee you at some point in time, this thing has become contaminated. And that's something that a lot of people just don't even think about. How many of you have taken a photo at the range, and then what did you do? That sort of stuff is how you get cumulative lead exposure. So using something like this to wipe down your phone, way better than lead mitigation therapy. So anyway, I hope that you learned something, or that this was at least a thought-provoking video. Obviously, if you have any questions, then I'd be happy to answer them. Sound off in the comments section down below. Many of you know this, but I am actually a chemist by education. So anything specific that you want to know about that particular part, then obviously I will do my best to answer it. And obviously, this goes without saying, this was not a fear-mongering video. You don't need to go scrub your entire house right now, and unless, of course, you're shooting unshielded shotgun ammo out of your house, like Gun Drummer or somebody like that, right? Small things over time prevent big problems when we're talking about lead exposure. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did, send it to somebody that needs to see it, and hopefully we'll see another one here at the VSO Gun Channel.